Hello YouTube, Happy New Year to you. Soul MCA here, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for visiting. Today we are going to be talking about string muting, alright? And you're probably like, it's been some time. Yes, it has been some time. This video that I'm recording, this is about the fourth time that I'm recording this video. Different days, different times. Something just always goes wrong when I try to record this video for some reason. But today we are going to get through it, all right? So Corey Collins, this is for you. Corey had a great suggestion. He asked for a video, or he said he'd been searching for a video online regarding muting, and he could not find one specifically about the right hand on a 5-string, all right? So I do apologize to my 4-string players. Today's exercises and everything is going to be based around a 5-string bass. All right, and so I am detuned, and that only matters because when I give you the notes, I don't want you thinking that your eyes and your ears are playing tricks on you, all right? So today we are going to be in C sharp, and what we're gonna do is we are going to try to cause ourselves to get fret buzz, or if you're already having, or string ringing. If you already have it, then it's going to be easy, but I'm going to teach you a few different things. But before I get to that, before I get to this trusty right hand, I want to talk about this left hand, and I'm hoping I cover everything I've covered in these previous videos, and the knowledge won't be lost. All right, we've got to talk about the left hand. There are several things we can do to mute on the left hand as such. Just clamping over that. Pick a string, pick all the strings, and just practice even that, all right? That is important. Also, you'll see some guys do this. Right now I'm fretting G on the E string. Remember, I'm detuned. See how that? All right. I can even play it and still have some ring, but you're not hearing the other strings, okay? Let me try to get all the strings. All right, there's a little overtone. You're actually getting the, not a perfect science. Actually getting the, I cannot think of that name right now. The harmonic, thank you. All right, so what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do an exercise. I tried to think about the best way to get the ring to happen. And the reason I talked about the left hand is, even though we're gonna be talking about the right hand in this video, it is best. The best muting techniques, the best technique is to join both hands, all right? But we're focusing on the right hand, or on your plucking hand, because you may be left-handed, I apologize. All right, but we're concentrated on the plucking hand, but you'll get your best technique, you'll get your best sound when you incorporate both hands, all right? So I may keep saying right hand, but just know it's your plucking hand, okay? So what we're gonna do is in C sharp, 1 on you. I'll play it first. All right. We're playing the 1 on the B string, your C sharp on your B string. We're gonna play our 3 on the E string, our 4 on the E string, our 5 on the E string. Then we're gonna go down a string and play our octave of C sharp on our A string. Then we're gonna go down to the D string, play our 3, play our 4, play our 5, and then we're going to play the next octave on the G string, all right? All right, and what we're trying to do is you want to play it at a speed to where you start to finally hear some ringing, and at a volume, and also at a volume where you hear it. So I play relatively low, and I get chastised almost everywhere I play. Guys are always telling me, turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up, and I do it. And just, it's my personal take on music. I think it's better to be asked to turn up than it is to be asked to turn down. If I'm asked to turn up, then I know I'm playing right and I know I'm fitting in. If not, then you kind of just want to shrink back into the scenes. But I personally also don't like how, you hear that? That was coming from my A string. All right. I also personally don't like how a bass sounds when it has like too much gain or whatever the case is. You lose some of the nice tone of the bass when it's getting pushed a little too hard. But as you saw that last time, and I'm gonna leave it too, the A string is ringing. What you want to do is listen for that. The only thing I should be hearing is that, but instead, You still hearing it. You hear that A string going? So what this does is, this exercise is gonna help you identify where your trouble spot is, all right? Because a lot of times the ringing strings will come, they'll come as you're crossing strings, all right? And so for me, clearly the A string is giving me some problems because every time I try to do this at a fast rate, that A string starts to hum. And it may be how I'm moving on my right hand up and down, whatever the case is. So we have to find a way to address it, all right? So with this exercise is just, again, to help you identify what is ringing. So if for you, it was I'll make it the E string this time. The E string, then you know that you gotta focus on the E string, etc., etc. I'm now gonna move the camera angle to where you can see my right hand better, because I know you're like, this is a right hand or plucking hand, and we can't really see your plucking hand. I'm gonna move it so that you can get a close-up to start seeing what I'm about to start talking about. All right, everyone, we are back. We've got an angle right here where you can see my plucking hand, nice and clear and clean. So as I was saying, as I did this exercise, still rumbling a little bit, my A string is still ringing. So I need to find a way to stop that A string while I'm playing. So there's a few things we can do to address this. When I first started playing bass, I did something called the floating thumb technique, where as I went down the strings, my thumb would move down with every single string. Now that's something you can do. As you can see, it works very efficiently. I can't do it fast anymore because I no longer use this technique. Okay? But that will help mute each string above the string that you are playing. That is a great exercise. For me personally, I found that it was slowing me down. And because it was slowing me down, I stopped utilizing it, all right? I found that I couldn't get as fast as I wanted to. It was hindering my speed, so I no longer do that. Now, as good as that technique is, I don't know if you noticed it, while I was doing it the last time, sometimes, and I didn't do it that time, but let's say this B string starts to rumble, because that can happen. Because now as I'm moving down, I'm opening myself up, being susceptible to these strings now ringing. So one way that you can cure that, I'm going to purposefully let one of these lower strings ring. Hold on. I no longer do this technique. I got to think about it. All right, let's say that was ringing there. My thumb is down here, right? I can lean my whole hand, I don't know if you can see that. I can lean my entire thumb back to stop that from ringing. So let's say this B string is ringing, right? Put the whole thing back, and that will stop it. Hopefully you can see that right there, right? Or let's say my E string was ringing, and I'm down here on the G, letting that G ring out, and let's say my E string was ringing, I can back this whole thing up. All right, so that is one way that you can prevent that. If that's what a technique you want to use, you can use that floating thumb technique, which I didn't demonstrate great. Believe me, when I first started playing, I was a pro at that technique. But because I don't use it anymore, that doesn't work. So that's one way you can do it. Another thing you can do is a partial use of that technique, which is what I currently do now. So if you notice, my thumb only came down to rest right here on this B string. So I played the first note on my B string, and I came down, still on that string, okay, stayed there. And that obviously helps anchor your B string, or your lower string, because if you're on a 4 string, that would work for you too. But again, the focus is supposed to be on a 5 string here. That helps you anchor that, because this string right here is usually the one to give you the most problems. If you just like wiggle a little bit, I don't know if you can hear it. The B string is the one that's most likely to move around. It's the one that's most likely to give you some growl. So that cuts your #1 issue already. All right, but it does open you up to that technique. Some of these strings in the middle, like you've been hearing my A string go off. It's not going off that time now. So another thing that I've seen some guys do that we can suggest is you can have a 3rd finger involved. And what you can do is something like this. So I brought my thumb down. right? And I'm gonna make my A string ring on purpose here. Right, now that's ringing, right? And all my 2 plucking fingers are now down here on the G because that was the last note I played. You can bring your 3rd finger under and hook. See that right there? I've hooked that string. Now, you might say, well, what about the other strings, or whatever the case is? That exercise, the exercise I gave you, remember, is I help you identify what strings for you are the problem. Now, my string is A and only A. So I know immediately I would practice just hooking that string. If that's ever giving me a problem and I'm playing a groove and that A string keeps rumbling, and I know that, I'm gonna just hook right there, all right? Hook right there, under it like that. And you're not trying to pluck it or anything, you're just trying to rest your hand there to stop. Make it ring on purpose here. Here I kills that automatically. And the only thing that's ringing now should be my G, which I still have my pinky on that's making it ring. All right, so that's another thing. So now I have a combination of my thumb resting on that lower B string, which would give us the most issues, and then I hook under with my 3rd finger, which I don't use to pluck, but some guys do, and girls do, some musicians, I should say. All right, I've seen people walk with 3. I've seen people even walk with 4. I've seen people assign a finger on 4 strings, 1 to each, which is crazy, but possible. Anything is possible. So those are things that you can do technique-wise. Now, if you're saying, okay, maybe your E string is still ringing, then maybe you should, we're gonna make our E string ring on purpose this time. Right, our E string is still ringing, right? I've hooked under my A, my fingers is clawed on my B, and my E, I'm gonna keep making it ring. My E string is still giving me issues. You can, instead of stopping here, bring your thumb down to your E string. And I don't know if you heard it, it made my B string go live when I came down. All right. Now, so that just shows, it makes me go forward into what my next point would have been. You might say, okay, well, so let me see if I go down to that string. If you do this, bring it down one more time. You can open up yourself, I'm going to make it ring on purpose, to your B string now going off. All right, well, remember the first thing I said with that other technique. Just bring that thumb right back. You see how I'm going to make it ring again, my B string. Just bring that thumb back and rest it in a position to where it cuts that off. So now you've successfully or effectively, you've now stopped your B string, you've stopped your E string, right? You're using the floating technique down to your E string. That's ringing now, perfect. Bring my thumb back to now stop the B string, and I'm hooking under my A string. So that only leaves you with a D and a if you can see that. Oh, I don't know if you can even see that. All right, I've covered 3 strings. That only leaves you with another string now. Sorry, I should have been hooking with that. That leaves you these 2 fingers still to pluck on your let's do a little shout on the D. We're doing that cleanly. Oh, we're ringing a little bit back here, which is good because now it gives me another thing I can show you. What I started doing while I started playing this shout right here, I realized that I started hearing my B string ringing. And in this case, while playing live, I can't, it's a little harder to, it's not like a slow worship song where I can push this back here and still play some things. It's moving rather quickly. So what I did was I hooked my pinky now. So now my thumb is resting on the E string, and I hooked my pinky back here to prevent that B string from going. And I still have my 3rd finger resting under the A, and I can play these still fairly cleanly. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. At this point, I'm out of fingers, right? And I'm not about to tell you to try to figure out some other way to bring down this A that's holding this A down like that to mute the G and just play the G string. That's crazy. You should be able, between 2 strings, to be able to cleanly play without having anything else vibrate if that's an issue. Now, granted, right now I'm in the absolute worst possible case scenario where you may have all 3 of those strings above ringing. You can put some combinations of these things together, but if you've got all these strings ringing and you're down to 2, at that point, remember what I talked about at the beginning of the video. You now have to use your left hand and start cleaning up maybe some of that. So let me try to make my D string ring here with the exercise. I'm gonna go back to the exercise. and try to do it slow so I can remember. Moved it down to the, so I'm moving my thumb down. So mute that initial. I'll do it this way. Move my thumb down, play the next 3 on the E string, right? I'm gonna move my finger down to that to stop that. I'm just gonna hook my pinky under there now, just from now. A string, now I'm going down to my D string, move my 3rd finger there, and now I'm on my G. I'm gonna purposefully make my D string ring, but let's just say for you it's naturally ringing. At that point, just bring down, I just brought down my hand. I just clapped onto the fretboard with my left hand. D's ringing, just close my hand over it, like I showed you in the beginning of the video. All right, so those are ways, those are possible solutions that can help you to mute with your right hand. But again, it's best not to, isolate things to learn them, isolate it to just learn how to mute with your right, isolate just to learn how to mute with your left, but do a combination of both of them and you'll have the most success. All right, I hope this video was helpful. It is indeed long, but I'm hoping that it was helpful and gave you some ideas as to things that you can do. They may feel uncomfortable at first, but these are things that you want to take this exercise and do it slowly so you can focus on where the trouble areas are as you're skipping strings, because string skips and crossing strings are what give you the most opportunity to have a ring. All right, enjoy Soul MCA. Hopefully you will join our community here. We are growing at a very rapid rate, and I'm going to make a video about that coming up real soon, I'm hoping, to release some information about how quickly we're growing and what the future of this channel is going to look like. You have a good one. Take care. God bless. Hope this helped.